Do you wonder what it looks like in a day of a life of a homeschool mom? That's a conversation that I have today with Lizzie, a homeschool mom of 3 and entrepreneur. She runs an online birth education business and has a podcast where she mentors moms wanting unmedicated births. She calls herself a mom first, entrepreneur second, because the whole reason she left teaching to start her own business was to stay home and homeschool her kids. Y'all are going to love this conversation, so stay tuned. You are listening to Homeschool Moms in Business, where I help homeschooling moms gain clarity and create effective, systemized business plans around their creative passions, empowering them to confidently launch and grow their businesses while only working 10 hours or less a week. I'm Samantha Welch, a homeschool mom and creative business coach who turned my photography passion into a thriving business, all while keeping my schedule manageable and family-centered, and I'm here to help you do the same. Hey friends, I am so excited to have Lizzie on the podcast today. I'm looking forward to this conversation so much because she is a homeschool mom and then she also has her own business and all the things. And so I'm really excited just to have this conversation with her where we can kind of go back and forth on how she does it. So Lizzie, I'm just going to let you introduce yourself and we're going to get into it.
I'm so excited to be here. I love these conversations. I love hearing what other moms are doing because as we're even myself, as I'm doing one thing that works, it might not work in 6 months down the road. You never know. So I love having these conversations, especially with other homeschool moms, because the way we do everything is so different from non-homeschooling moms, from moms who work outside the home. So I'm excited to chat and share what's working for me. I homeschool. I have 3 kids, and my kids are 11 and 5. No, 6. He just turned 6 and 4. The 4-year-old just kind of tags along right now. So the 4-year-old does kindergarten with my 6-year-old, and then my oldest is in 6th grade. So I homeschool the 3, and I also run an online business. So I'm a childbirth educator. So that is my main thing that I do. And I have an online program. We do birth education, and I work specifically with moms who want unmedicated births. And I always joke that it's like the unmedicated birth is like the pipeline to homeschool. So especially the moms who have unmedicated births, and then maybe they have a home birth, and then they decide I don't actually want to leave my kids, and then they stay home and now they're homeschooling. And then sometimes they're like, well, I might as well run a business because why not? And everyone was calling them crazy for their unmedicated birth. Now everyone's still calling them crazy for doing all the things at home.
Yes.
So yeah, I have an online program, and then I podcast too. And you know how it is as a mom entrepreneur. It's like your business is constantly kind of changing and evolving, and your offers are changing, and it's whatever I need to do for my family is what we do, and we just get it done.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my goodness, it's so true. And with every season, I feel like my business evolves as my kids get older.
Oh yeah. And the homeschooling too, everything
Yes.
changes. Like when I launched my business, so I actually worked outside of the home. When my youngest was in 1st grade was when we pulled her out and started homeschooling, and I had a newborn at that time. Was he a newborn? He was 1. He was 1. And that was pre-2020. So right when everyone kind of started homeschooling, I was so thankful. That was such divine intervention that because I used to teach public school. So I was no longer in the public school setting to have to teach at home, do virtual school while my daughter was in virtual school, while I had a 1-year-old. That would have been nuts. It
Yeah.
was just all everything I look back, it's everything that got me where I am now. It's just oh, this is why. This is exactly where we're supposed to be. But yeah, when I first launched my business, it was during nap time with a baby on the boob. And then now we don't have naps. And that was actually a super hard transition for me when I could count on 2 to 3 hours and then, after lunch to work my business. And then all of a sudden there was no nap. And it was kind of at that time when I started homeschooling my middle child. And then, my older one is getting older, and we're doing more homeschooling as she's getting older. So At that point in my business, it was like, I don't have time. Like, I don't have enough time. There's no nap. We're homeschooling more. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I cannot tell you how many times I said the Q word. You know what word I'm talking about? The Q word. Like,
Quit. Yeah.
I'm just going to have to quit my
Quit.
business. There's
Yes.
no way that I can do this, you know? And it's just, it's just hard. Like, and I have to remind myself, like, if it was easy, Lizzie, everybody would be doing this. Everyone would have their kids at home with them, running a business while they're homeschooling, making the sourdough, keeping up with their health and fitness. Like everyone would be doing that. But,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard. Like it is. It's just hard.
Yeah, for sure. I love how you just brought up the nap time thing because I feel like sometimes there's that, oh, well, you have littles, so I can't do anything because I have littles. But I actually found the same as you is that whenever my kids were littler, I had more time because I was like, okay, quiet time, naps, like put on a
Hmm.
show, they all fall asleep. 2, 3 hours later, they get back up. Right now, I'm dealing
Hmm.
with like constant mama, 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 mama. It's like,
Hmm.
y'all, just, I almost want to enforce nap times again or just like quiet time. Just like, y'all will thank me, but you can't do that.
Yeah, that was really hard when we lost Nap. And I agree that it was a lot easier to run a business when I had a newborn and even like the newborn and the napping toddler. The hardest point well, it's kind of like right now, right now, but is when you have the toddlers that are not quite able to like go entertain themselves for an hour, but they're also not napping. So
Hmm.
they're like in that in between stage. But I'm almost out of it. I honestly, my 4 year old, my 6 year old and the older one, they're fine. They can go do something on their, I can say, I have a work block right now. I'm working and they'll leave me alone. It's just that last straggler, that 4 year old that will come in and want to sit on my lap. And that's just how it is. Like when I it's constantly I'm trying to reset my mindset about this. Like, yes, I'm getting interrupted a million times. Yes, it's taking me longer than it should. Like I would get it done way faster if I was here alone. But like, do you want to send your kids to school, Lizzie? Like, do you really want to go work a job where you work 8 hours a day? Like no, not not really, one day I had a whole day to myself. Like this is very rare. One day out of the last 5 years of my business, I had a full day by myself to work, and I that's what I planned to do. I was like, oh, I'm just going to work all day. Dad had the kids. You know how long I wanted to work? 4 hours. I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. So that's another good reminder to myself is like, okay, you don't really want to be working 8+ hours a day. So like, let's just get it done in the 2 hours and make that 2 hours a day count. So that's what I really try to work is like 2 to 4 hours a day on not every day. Like obviously some days that doesn't happen, but
I love that. So let's get down to like some practical stuff. Give me
yeah.
like an example of a day in your life and how you do juggle the work, but then
Hmm.
homeschooling and having your 4-year-old that's like wants to interrupt and
Hmm.
everything. So like break it down for us.
Yeah. Yes, I love this and I love hearing other people talk about this. We just moved in November, so we've been here for a couple months and we moved time zones and I feel like I'm still not acclimated to the time. And so it's kind of thrown my day for a loop and for a while it was really bothering me because I was just like this is not the normal routine that we do things and it's hard to be, I don't know. I think most of us who are homeschooling and running a business like we are type A, like very ambitious,
Mm-hmm.
perfectionist, sometimes have this black or white kind of mindset where it's like, well, I work from 5 to 7, and now like the time change or whatever, the nap, the blah blah blah. Like we really, myself, anyways. Like I have to be so intentional about like I can be flexible. I can be flexible. Like that's the beauty of this lifestyle is I can move my work block to any other time that I want. We can do homeschool at any other time, given, of course, if you have, there's always exceptions to that, but for the most part, we can be flexible. So the routine I have right now is my kids are actually sleeping in now. Maybe they're not used to we're all a little bit off, even though my husband still has to wake up at 5:30. But so his alarm goes off at 5:30 and I kind of drag myself out of bed at 6. And I used to be like a 5 a.m. girly, but right now that's not working for me. So I get out of bed at like 6, and that's my like morning quiet time, like whatever I need and want to do. I'm not like rushing to do anything. I want it to be slow. I like slow mornings. So I get up, I'll make my drinks, take my supplements, whatever I'm doing. I usually will walk the dog at that point so I can do that without having to take all the kids with me. My husband makes us breakfast, so we eat breakfast together. And then my kids are now waking up around 8. So my husband leaves at 7. And so I have almost an hour of more like alone me time. And I oscillate between either using that to like get a workout in and get my shower done before everyone wakes up, or sitting down to work. So my work block is either starting like at 7 or it's starting at like 8, 9. And I usually will work for like an hour or two in the morning. And at this point, my kids are like waking up, and they like trickle out, and they're just doing their own thing. I do let them have screens in the morning. They'll watch some cartoons while I'm wrapping things up before we like really get started on our homeschool day. Now the goal is always we start homeschool at 10, but that doesn't again, we're flexible. So like maybe it's 10 one day. It definitely, if we have to leave the house for something, we're leaving by 10. Sometimes it's 11. My flow right now is that I do the little kids' individual work before lunch. So we do their math and their reading lesson together. I'm doing with the little kids, that gets done before lunch. And then we have lunch, and that's kind of like our break time. So we'll take a break. We do like, I love listening to audiobooks while we're eating lunch. It's like one of my favorite things because it's like you're doing school, but it's like very low pressure for me. Like we can just pop it on, listen to something. Maybe we'll do some sort of extension activity, maybe not. And then also in that morning time, if we're doing, so I do all of our like science and social studies together. That would happen if we're doing that for that day. That replaces like the littles individual lessons. Does that make sense? So like that morning time is either the little kids or it's something we're all doing together. And then after lunch is when I focus on my oldest and we do our more structured lessons together. And then hopefully we're getting done. I got my fingers crossed. Hopefully we're getting done at 3. And then I have the rest of the afternoon to either work or reset the house or catch up on chores. And then my husband comes home at 6. And at that point, you know, no more school, no more work is happening. We're doing dinner and bedtime and that sort of routine. So that's our flow. And at first, like I said, I didn't like that it was kind of shifted later. I used to like wake up really early and get my work done and like start school a little earlier. And now it's just kind of shifted later. And I realized like that's fine. Like it's totally fine. But if you noticed, I kind of block my day out. I don't know, do you do block scheduling for yourself?
I do like subconscious block scheduling.
Yeah, I think we
Like, in
all
other
do
words,
it
I
without
don't,
realizing it.
yeah, I don't really put it in my calendar. So I used to put it in my calendar, right? Where I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But now
Mhm.
I just have like that flow. Also, if I schedule out too hardcore, it stresses me out that the
Yes,
schedule doesn't go like it should. And the schedule never goes
100%.
like it should.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. So like if you had like, okay, at 10 we're doing this. At 11 we're doing this. At 12 we're doing this. Like that is just going to set you up for failure. And then the perfectionist type A moms that we are, we're like, well, the whole day's ruined.
yes.
Like I already failed for the day. It's messed up. What's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Like so like having that flow and having like a really loose block. So like mentally I have sometimes like it's like okay, around 10ish I want to start homeschooling. And then I do the block is we do either our group lesson or the littles. Then we do a block of lunch. And then we move on to a block. And the times, and then I want to be done around 3. So I have these kind of boundaries a little bit. Because if you don't have a little bit of a boundary, like you could spend all day doing anything, like homeschool,
Right. Mm-hmm.
chores, like I especially have to put the boundaries on chores because I could spend all like there's just always something to clean. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna be behind on cleaning whether or not I work for an hour, whether I work for an hour or not. So I'm gonna feel better about my business and I'm like my business for me, and you probably can relate to this, is like your creative outlet. Like you feel really good. It like
Yes.
energizes you, and
Mm-hmm.
chores drain you. So like, why am I worrying about like, oh, I have 90 minutes until dinner and I should, how much cleaning can I get done and trying to push work to the back burner? It's like, why, when if I spend an hour on work, just speed clean for 30 minutes, I'm going to be happier even if the house is still, the didn't get all the chores done. I'm going to get my cup filled a little bit by having that time for work. So I always am like, okay, even when I'm like, very often my brain will be like, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time. There's no time. I am constantly saying that. And I have to actively replace it with, okay, there is enough time for me to work towards my goals, whatever it is. Because usually the thing I don't have time for is my business or like my workout or going on a walk or something like that. So I have to actually say to myself, there's time. You might not accomplish your goal today, but there's time to like take a baby step towards your goal. And having that mindset shift, I used to literally write it in my planner every day because I go through seasons where I'm like, there's no time, the busy season, there's no time, there's no, and then, well, if you're thinking that, then that's going to be true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love that. I totally relate to that a lot because I find myself where whenever I do say like it's okay, one of my favorite books is by Mary Morantz and it's called Slow Growth Equals Strong Roots. So
Mm.
always remind myself of them like it's okay if my business doesn't pop up overnight because my life is not her life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you choose like a different lifestyle like sending your kids to school or all that you do naturally have like more of that uninterrupted time, so I just have to
Mm-hmm.
remind myself like my business will has to grow based on my priorities. So like right now what's most important to me is my family, my kids
Mm-hmm.
education, and so then I just have to make time for like what little bit of business I can get in.
Yeah, and I always think too, like some is better than none.
Yeah.
And like if I didn't, because I very frequently, well not frequently, but every once in a while, I'm like, should I quit my business? And it's like, if I wasn't doing my business, what would I be doing? I probably would need to have some sort of hobby or something. So like, why not let it be something that supports other women and supports my family and supports me. But I for sure fall victim to this like comparison of, especially when you start getting into like the coaching world and you're surrounded by all these women who run businesses and maybe they're like B2B coaches and they're coaching you and they're like, yeah, just do this, do that, do more, put more time in, wake up early. I'm like, whoa, that sounds great because I'm ambitious and I want to push and I love to challenge myself. And then I'll challenge myself and I'm like, man, wait a minute, hold on. This doesn't fit in with my lifestyle. And women that are homeschooling and running a business, like this is that's never been done before. Like we are kind of blazing our own trail. And I have to be so careful of like, okay, I see the advice here for growing your business. And maybe it's from a man, even, or maybe it's from a woman who sends her kids to school or doesn't have kids. And it's like, okay, I'm going to take what they said and I'm going to move the puzzle pieces around or slow it down, like you said, to make it work for me. Because the whole reason, I don't know if this is true for you, but the whole reason that I started a business was so I could stay home and homeschool. So like why am I ever thinking that homeschooling is getting in the way of my business building? Like that, because that thought for sure comes up, oh, I could do more if, but it's like, well, but I don't want to. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. My husband will, because you know how our husbands are so like logical about things and like solution oriented. He'll be like, well, then we need to get the kids out of the house. Like, we need to find, if not public school, then like something. And I'm like, but no, like I want them home with me, I just also want like 2 extra hours in the day, but that's in a perfect world.
Yes. I love how you talked about like the creative outlet because that's how I definitely feel. I f- do like I run my business because it challenges me, it keeps me
Mhm.
creative because I'm more like there are so many like we're all different and I try not to put my whole value in my kids because my kids are going to grow
Mhm.
up and go and so I need something else that's mine, you might say. I mean, obviously, I have my husband but homeschooling is not my existence. And so I feel like my business also kind of helps me have something that's mine. So yeah, I
Mhm.
don't get to build it as fast as I want to, but I do think there's something healthy about having something that's yours that you can kind of cultivate that you can
Absolutely.
work at and be creative with because sometimes yes, there are moments in schooling the kids where it's super fulfilling, but most days it's just a drag. I'm like, feel like I'm pulling teeth to just like get that worksheet done. And then from past experience, they could do it in 30 minutes if they just like applied themselves. But we're like 3 hours down the road and it's still not done. You know what I'm saying?
I'm laughing because yes, I 100% have been there. I tend to lean more towards like unschooling, which is very difficult for me because I come from like an education background and standardized everything and blah, blah, blah. Or maybe it's easier for me because of that. I don't know. But I'm always like, okay, if I'm not liking this, like if I think homeschooling's a drag, like maybe we're doing it wrong. Like maybe we're doing it wrong, but there's also so much merit in our kids learning, like, yeah, you got to sit down and do stuff like you don't want to do sometimes. Like, I have to sit down and I had to fill out, because we just moved, I had to find a new dentist and fill out all this paperwork, and I had to fill out every form for every kid. It took me like 35 minutes, and I was like, I could have been working. I could have been working right now. I did it this morning while the kids were sleeping. And so that just, there's just another example of like sitting down and doing things we don't like to do. We have to do that in our business all the time. So, yeah, I guess homeschool can't always be all the fun little things. There's good things about both of those. But yeah, I love the way that you framed that and just giving myself more permission. Like it is good for us to have these other things that are a part of us outside of our mothering and our schooling. And I think it's good for our kids to see that too.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think so. I think that it's good to have your kids can look and be like, "Oh, she's got her own thing." Because I encourage
Mhm.
my kids to have their own things as well, as far as like what they do or what they're into.
Yeah.
So, real quick, let's like talk about, but you do time blocking. Is there anything else that you find that just like really helps you kind of stay on task or,
Mhm.
you know, find that time to
Yeah.
be both present with your homeschooling and as a mom, but also working on your business.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I do the morning work block, and even if it means pushing homeschool a little bit later, I like that because it frees up my brain. I've checked a few things off of my list. I've accomplished something in my business, and it actually frees up my brain to not be like, okay, we need to hurry up and get this homeschooling done so that I can get to
Mm.
homeschooling later. So I swear by that morning work block so that I can more easily put work down to be focused with them. Now, this is still always a struggle. I'm like this close to buying a brick. Have you seen those? The bricks. It's like it locks your phone. So you like tap your phone on it's
Oh.
like a physical brick and like you like tap your phone on it. And so you can't like open your phone. Cause I for sure am guilty of like we're doing something homeschooling and like they're doing something independently for a sec. And then I'm like, let me just look at my phone, like, so
Mm.
there's definitely room for improvement there. And that's just, I just need to have better habits around that. But I love that morning work block. And then I also, it is so necessary for me to know exactly what I'm going to work on in my work block before the work block gets here. Because otherwise, it's like you sit down and you're like, oh, what am I going to do today? And you open up your email or you open up your Slack channel or you open up a Google Doc of something that you're like, and if you don't have a plan, it's so easy to like, okay, if I didn't have a plan, I didn't plan out what I was going to do for my work block, I would probably just post something on Instagram, which is fine. Like that's part of running our business is having that social media presence. But there are so many other things that can happen behind the scenes that actually can move the needle in revenue more than me posting on Instagram. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just all about having like the strategy and knowing what actions in your business will get you to your goal, basically, whatever your goal is. And so planning that ahead of time is key. So I do like a weekly planning session and I check in with my goals. And I only set goals for 90 days at a time because everything changes so fast. So I'll plan the, quarter. These are the things I'm going to work on. And I break those down, typical kind of work backwards goal setting stuff. And then when at the top of the week, I look at those things and decide what I'm going to work on that week during my work blocks. And that helps tremendously with just getting more done and not having to like make those decisions when you're tired. Like I'm always like, okay, smart Lizzie said to do this today, so we're going to do that today, you know?
Yes, for sure. I think one of the biggest traps that I have fallen into is sitting down and then just drawing a blank and being like,
Mhm.
oh, and then wasting a ton of time. And then whenever I'm supposed to be putting work down, I'm super frustrated with the amount of time I've lost. And so I can't really put it down because I'm like, well, I gotta make this up and like do something productive, you know? So I
Mhm.
love that. I think planning out exactly what we need to do, like having clarity on what steps in our business actually will get us to where we want to go is so crucial when it comes to like not because we don't really have that freedom to just sit for an hour and be like, oh,
No.
what am I going to do today?
Yeah. And I used to think I didn't have time to sit down with my planner and do weekly planning, but and I knew this. I knew people say all the time, like, oh, yeah, you sit down for 30 minutes and you save hours later on down the road. And I was like, well, it must be nice for someone who doesn't have all these things going on to sit down for. And it's like, okay, where can you make the 30 minutes? Like, it's so easy to get in that victim mindset. And it's like a protective mechanism, right? Like, well, of course, if I say I don't have time, then this is why my business didn't make enough revenue this month, right? It's because I didn't have time. It's because I'm busy. And it's like we can kind of hide behind these excuses, but like, okay, you don't have a lot of time, but if you did have 30 minutes, where could you fit that in? And it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be Sunday night. It doesn't have to be Monday morning. That's another thing I have to like really let go is like, this typical structure. Like I work out at 5 a.m., I'm dressed by 8, I blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, work can look like your kids sitting behind you playing with Legos, as long as you're not recording a podcast. Like it can look like doing your homeschool planning at Monday at 10 a.m. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's fine. Like it's all fine. Like make it work for you and drop this like it's such a like lowering of this perfectionist mindset, which
Yeah.
motherhood will do regardless of if you have a
Yeah,
business
but
or not.
who said you had to plan your goals on a Monday or a
I know.
Sunday?
I don't know, but in my head, I was like, I don't have time on Sunday or Monday.
I know, right? And
I
that
know it's
I
so
think that's
silly.
the big thing is that just learning to be flexible and if your week starts on a Wednesday because your husband's schedule is all whack,
Yeah.
that's fine, whatever. Like go
Mm-hmm.
with that. So,
Yeah.
I love this. This has been so fun because I think this is just it's cool just to see like how each of us do these things because we're all so different and that's
Mm-hmm.
just like the beauty of this and how our we just have that freedom to our life can look different.
Mm-hmm.
So I love this. Thank you. And I'm gonna leave all your info in the show
Perfect.
description and stuff so people can find you and follow you and
Sounds great.
learn more if they're interested in having an unmedicated birth or learning more about that. I'm finished having kids, so
Yeah, me too.
but yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Samantha.
I hope you walked away from this episode inspired to go and implement these things into your life and business. Remember to head to the show notes to get any links, guides, or discounts that were mentioned. And while you're there, leave me a 5-star review. Your feedback is the only way that I know you're enjoying and finding this podcast helpful. Until next episode, remember, it's those small daily steps that build big dreams.